Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Luba. I work with Delphine, part of the ICRC. I'm one of the digital health program managers responsible for several digital solutions that are used in the ICRC, some of which are based on the OpenMRS technology. And what I would be presenting here today is one of the so to say solutions that or the answers to one of the problems that we're facing when working in the field. And the solution for that would be the Android app uh, that is basically connecting to the OpenMRS and is answering to the need that, why is it not moving, guys? Sorry, hang on. I'm trying to switch between slides, but hang on. Sorry about that. So yeah, so what are we actually trying to achieve here, or what is the issue that we're trying to address here and to tackle? So the ICRC being a humanitarian organization that works in the contexts where the internet is a scarcity and the connectivity is frequently the issue. It is not always easy to have a good EMR system. And this is where this is the biggest stumbling block, basically. So what the need here is to equip various clinicians, whether they're in mental health or whether they are doctors, it is to provide them with a solution that will enable them to do patient management, to register their forms and to register their activities without having to rely on a very good internet connection. So since in some of the instances, these colleagues work on from the office, uh, we cannot always rely on the regular stuff like desktops or laptops because they will be in the office or in the clinic today, but tomorrow they might need to go to conduct an outreach. And as we know, that it's not always easy to carry a lot of stuff. So this is where having a solution on an Android device uh, comes in quite handy. So this is what we wanted to do, to have something portable that they can carry with them in the field, conduct their work, and then when they're back, they can synchronize their data to the server. So what is it that the Android app is trying to achieve? It is essentially trying um, to support the core workflow, right, and to ensure an acceptable level of user experience. So what we're trying to do is to enable the registration of the patients, to enable the creation of the encounters, to enable the editing of both patient records and encounters, but also to ensure that they can do all these things while they're remote, while they're offline. And then once they are back, to ensure that this data syncs back to the main server and to facilitate the data analysis from the management. The features that we are developing within the Android app are essentially the features that the web version needs to have. So whether they're working from the office or whether they're out there, the Android app needs to follow what's on the web. So we are implementing the same process to be able to select the location, to be able to select your patient list that you will use for follow-ups, not for new encounters, of course, sorry, for meeting new patients. For the new patients, you will be creating new ones. Then to create and edit the new encounters, to manage various patient identifiers, because this is what we see as a requirement across different health programs, which is to use various different identifiers for the patients, and then to synchronize the data, but also to be able to see your unsynced resources. All this accompanied by the settings, which is a separate sort of page that we've added along with the app diagnostics. So the very first step basically is to start from creating a patient list, which is happening in the OpenMRS web. So This is needed so that we don't have to create, that we don't download the entire database. So a doctor or an MHPSS person will create beforehand a group of patients. So this is done on the web. They will create a patient list. They will assign patients to the list. And then this is something that the Android app will pick up and download. So this will be the only available material for them when they go on an outreach or when they go to conduct a visit. So hang on, sorry, trying to move on to the next one. So once this is done, then the focus switches over to the Android app, which means that the user will log into the system and they will see this interface, right? So from here, the um, the patient list will load. Sorry, I'm just trying to play it. Apologies, I'm not sure why it doesn't want to play, but essentially the idea is once they open the Android app, the patient list that was created previously, that was called Group 1, will appear here as an option. So as you can see here, the second option is the patient list. So once this is selected, they can choose the list that needs to be loaded onto the phone. And then from there, they can select these patients and create additional encounters for them. On the other hand, if we have new patients that we need to create, we will use the option that is called register new patients. So let me see if this one will load. Yeah. So if we're registering new patients, we will utilize the register new patient option. And from here, we will fill out either the mandatory fields or we can fill out the complete patient registration form. So we're trying to basically equip it with all the fields that exist in the web version. So once this patient is registered, so just again to keep in mind, we have two things. One is the patient list that we're going to use for follow-ups, and the other one is the option to register new patients for whom new encounters will be created. So then the next step will be the encounter management. So we have an option to, sorry, this is going a bit too fast. I'm trying to control it. So as you can see here, once the new encounter is selected, we get a list of all the encounters that we have already created in the Android app. And these are, again, exactly the same as in the web version. So the user will basically see no difference. For the purposes of the demo, we've selected the smallest one, the smallest form, just for convenience sake. So after the form is completed or filled out, you can see all these things that are selected now are afterwards going to be synchronized to the main instance. So when they go back to the office, they will have access to this on their computer. So following the submission, they will be able to sync. As you can see here, it shows these arrows and it says it will synchronize the next time you're offline, but you also have the option to launch or initiate the sync from the device. So that would be the next step. So down here, we have added the unsynced resources, which when selected, so if we go to the unsynced resources, we will see the patient that we created. And if we expand the list, we will see that there was a visit created automatically for this patient. And then what was created was the follow-up form along with the following observations. So this is what we can review prior to the sync. And then, of course, we can select the sync information and then launch the sync, which will send the data to the main instance. And you can see here, or I don't know if you were able to see, it was. I'm going to try to pause it the right second for you to see. Here, where it was showing a different color for what was pending versus for what is already downloaded. So On the web instance, when opened, the situation will look like this. We have our Jon Snow patient for whom the follow-up encounter was created, and these are the observations that are filled out for this particular patient. So in terms of the flow, in terms of the sort of the core flow that we've developed, it's already there. It's already being tested. And we have also added the settings and the, apologies, as well as the identifiers that I was talking about earlier. So here you can see various identifiers that are being used. And this is something that we are relying upon in different health programs when it comes to identifying the patients. All right. The other feature that we have added, or the other page, is the diagnostics and logs, where we can send the diagnostics to the dev team. So in case a user gets blocked or we have certain issues, we will be able to pick up and collect the data for the developers to analyze at a later stage. So now what is in front of us and what we are currently focusing on, and this is where we would really benefit from your assistance, which is we would need the FHIR2 OpenMRS module to have the observations group and the diagnosis so that we can successfully implement these in the Android app, because then our needs currently are to have both, for example, both conditions and the diagnosis existing at the same time in the Android app, because certain programs use conditions, some use actually both diagnosis and conditions. And of course, along the way, we are going to be working on a lot of bug fixing. I wanted to give a huge thanks to Beryl and Grace. We meet regularly, we exchange, and we're updating one another on where we are at and the issues we are facing. And it would be really good if we could sort of galvanize the community to assist us further. If you see this as something that might be useful for you or um, for what you are doing, the support would be very much appreciated. Thanks so much, guys.